Cycling quickly became an activity after bicycles were introduced in the 19th century and remains popular with more than 1 billion people worldwide used for recreation, transportation, and sport. The first documented cycling race was a 1,200-meter race held on May 31, 1868, at the Park of St. Cloud, Paris. It was won by expatriate Englishman James Moore, who rode a bicycle with solid rubber tires. The first cycle race covering a distance between two cities was Paris-Rouen, also won by James Moore, who rode the 123 kilometers dividing both cities in 10 hours and 40 minutes. The oldest established bicycle racing club in the United States is the St. Louis Cycling Club. Operating continuously since 1887, the club has sponsored races and timed distance events since its inception. Its members have included numerous national champions and Olympic team members. Cycling as recreation became organized shortly after racing did. In its early days, cycling brought the sexes together in an unchaperoned way, particularly after the 1880s when cycling became more accessible owing to the invention of the rover safety bicycle. Public cries of alarm at the prospect of moral chaos arose from this and from the evolution of women's cycling attire, which grew progressively less enveloping and restrictive. On March 4, 1915, the Society for the Construction of Cycle Paths in the Gooi and Eemland region in the Netherlands was founded. It is the last private cycle path society that still exists today. Some people thought the increasing amount of motor traffic in the early 20th century was so dangerous for people cycling, especially those who rode as a leisure activity, that they wanted separate cycling infrastructure to be built. The routes would also not be connected to a route for motor traffic and mainly for recreation, so not the shortest routes, but the nicest routes. People have been riding bicycles to work since the initial bicycle heyday of the 1890s. According to the website Bike to Work, this practice continued in the United States until the 1920s, when biking experienced a sharp drop, in part due to the growth of suburbs and increasing usage of the car. In Europe, cycling to work continued to be common until the end of the 1950s. Today many people ride bikes to work for a variety of reasons, including fitness, environmental concerns, convenience, frugality, and enjoyment. According to the U.S. Census Bureau's 2008 American Community Survey, ACS, on September 22, 2009, 0.55% of Americans use a bicycle as the primary means of getting to work. Some places of employment offer amenities to bike commuters, such as showers, changing rooms, indoor bike racks and other secure bike parking. Many cyclists wanted to use their machines to travel, some of them went around the world. Annie Londonderry did so in 1894–95, taking 15 months. 6 Indian men cycled 71,000 kilometers around the world in the 1920s. With 4 key aspects, steering, safety, comfort and speed, improved over the penny farthing, bicycles became very popular among elites and the middle classes in Europe and North America in the middle and late 1890s. It was the first bicycle that was suitable for women, and as such became the freedom machine, as American feminist Susan B. Anthony called it, giving women a feeling of freedom and self-reliance. The Svea velocipede with vertical pedal arrangement and locking hubs was introduced in 1892 by the Swedish engineers Fredrik Ljungström and Birger Ljungström. It attracted attention at the World's Fair and was produced in a few thousand units. Bicycle historians often call this period the Golden Age or bicycle craze. By the start of the 20th century, cycling had become an important means of transportation, and in the United States an increasingly popular form of recreation. Bicycling clubs for men and women spread across the U.S. and across European countries. Chicago immigrant Adolf Scheininger with his Western Wheel Works became the Ford of the bicycle, 10 years before Henry Ford, by copying Pope's mass production methods and by introducing stamping to the production process in place of machining, significantly reducing production costs, and thus prices. His Crescent bicycles thus became affordable for working people, and massive exports from the United States lowered prices in Europe. The Panic of 1893 wiped out many American manufacturers who had not followed the lead of Pope and Scheininger, in the same way that the Great Depression would ruin car makers who did not follow Ford. The impact of the bicycle on female emancipation should not be underestimated. The safety bicycle gave women unprecedented mobility, contributing to their larger participation in the lives of Western nations. As bicycles became safer and cheaper, more women had access to the personal freedom they embodied, and so the bicycle came to symbolize the new woman of the late 19th century, especially in Britain and the United States. Feminists and suffragists recognized its transformative power. Susan B. Anthony said, "Let me tell you what I think of bicycling. I think it has done more to emancipate women than anything else in the world. It gives women a feeling of freedom and self-reliance. I stand and rejoice every time I see a woman ride by on a wheel, the picture of free, untrammeled womanhood." In 1895 Frances Willard, the tightly laced president of the Women's Christian Temperance Union, wrote a book called How I Learned to Ride the Bicycle, described in Bicycling magazine as the greatest book ever written on learning to ride, in which she praised the bicycle she learned to ride late in life, and which she named Gladys, for its gladdening effect on her health and political optimism. Willard used a cycling metaphor to urge other suffragists to action, proclaiming, "I would not waste my life in friction when it could be turned into momentum." 16. Elizabeth Robbins Pennell started cycling in the 1870s in Philadelphia, and from the 1880s onwards brought out a series of travelogues about her cycling journeys around Europe, from a Canterbury pilgrimage to over the Alps on a bicycle. In 1895 Annie Londonderry became the first woman to bicycle around the world. The backlash against the new, bicycling, woman was demonstrated when the male undergraduates of Cambridge University in England chose to show their opposition to the admission of women as full members of the university by hanging a woman in effigy in the main town square tellingly, "A woman on a bicycle as late as 1897. Since women could not cycle in the then current fashions for voluminous and restrictive dress, the bicycle craze fed into a movement for so-called rational dress, which helped liberate women from corsets and ankle-length skirts and other encumbering garments, substituting the then shocking cycle sport is competitive physical activity using bicycles. There are several categories of bicycle racing including road bicycle racing, cyclo-cross, mountain bike racing, track cycling, BMX, and cycle speedway. Non-racing cycling sports include artistic cycling, cycle polo, freestyle BMX, mountain bike trials, hardcourt bike polo and cycleball. The Union Cycliste Internationale, UCI, is the world governing body for cycling and international competitive cycling events. The International Human-Powered Vehicle Association is the governing body for human-powered vehicles that imposes far fewer restrictions on their design than does the UCI. The UltraMarathon Cycling Association is the governing body for many ultra-distance cycling races. Bicycle racing is recognized as an Olympic sport. Bicycle races are popular all over the world, especially in Europe. The countries most devoted to bicycle racing include Belgium, Denmark, France, Germany, Italy, the Netherlands, Spain, and Switzerland. Other countries with international standing include Australia, Luxembourg, Slovenia, United Kingdom, United States, and Colombia. The first bicycle race is popularly held to have been a 1,200 meters 3,900 feet race on the May 31, 1868 at the Parc de Saint-Cloud, Paris, France. It was won by expatriate Englishman James Moore, who rode a wooden bicycle with solid rubber tires. The machine is now on display at the museum in Ely, Cambridgeshire, England. The Union Cycliste Internationale was founded on April 14, 1900 by Belgium, the United States, France, Italy, and Switzerland to replace the International Cycling Association, which had been formed in 1892, over a row with Great Britain as well as because of other issues. Since the rise of the Olympic movement at the 1896 Summer Olympics, cycling has been a contestant event in every Summer Olympic Games. Road bicycle racing involve both team and individual competition, and races are contested in various ways. They range from the one-day road race, criterium, and time trial to multi-stage events like the Tour de France and its sister events which make up cycling's Grand Tours. The races typically take place from spring through to autumn. Many riders from the Northern Hemisphere spend the winter in countries such as Australia to compete or train. Professional races range from the 3-week Grand Tour stage races such as the Tour de France, Giro d'Italia, and the Vuelta a España to multi-day stage races such as the Tour de Suisse and Tour of California, to single-day classics such as the Tour of Flanders and Milan, San Remo. The longest one-day road race sanctioned by USA Cycling is Lotoha, which covers the 206 miles 332 kilometers from Logan, Utah, to Jackson, Wyoming. Criteriums are races based on circuits typically less than a mile in length and sometimes run for a set time, 60 minutes, 90 minutes, etc., rather than a specific distance. Criteriums are the most popular form of road racing in North America. In Belgium, kermisses are popular, single-day events of usually over 120 kilometers 70 miles. As well as road races in which all riders start simultaneously, individual time trial and team time trial events are also held on road-based courses. Track cycling has been around since as early as 1870. The riders competed on wooden indoor tracks that closely resembled the modern velodromes of today. Unlike road racing, which is dependent on environmental factors, indoor tracks ensure the sport can be competed all year round. It encompasses races that take place on banked tracks or velodromes. Events are quite diverse and can range from individual and team pursuits, two-man sprints, to various group and mass start races. Competitors use track bicycles which do not have brakes or freewheels. Cyclo-cross originated as a sport for road racers during the off-season, to vary their training during the cold months. Races typically take place in the autumn and winter. The international or World Cup season is September, January, and consist of many laps of a 2 to 3 kilometers, 1 to 2 miles, course featuring pavement, wooded trails, grass, steep hills, and obstacles requiring the rider to dismount, carry the bike and remount in one motion. Races for senior categories are generally between 30 minutes and an hour long, the distance varying depending on the conditions. The sport is strongest in traditional road cycling countries such as Belgium, Flanders in particular, and France. Mountain bike races are held off-road and involve moderate to high degree of technical riding. There are several varieties. The main categories are cross-country, enduro and downhill, but also 4x or 4-cross racing. BMX takes place off-road. BMX races are sprints on purpose-built off-road single-lap tracks, typically on single-gear bicycles. Riders navigate a dirt course of jumps and banked and flat corners. Cycle speedway is bicycle racing on short outdoor dirt tracks, 70 to 90 m, 230 to 300 feet, in length. Motor-paced racing and Chiron use motorcycles for pacing, so cyclists achieve higher speeds. Gravel racing is one of the newest disciplines of bicycle racing, emerging in the 21st century. For example, one of the premier gravel races, Unbound Gravel, started in 2006. Some precursors to gravel racing in its current form include road races like the Tour of the Batancil and Boulder, Roubaix, named after Paris, Roubaix, which are road races with gravel sections. The distinguishing features of gravel racing include long distances, often 100 to 200 miles, 160 to 320 kilometers, and mass starts that include all categories of racers, similar to Gran Fondo rides. The bicycles and courses in gravel racing vary widely, from road bicycles with wide tires used on smooth gravel roads to bicycles that are similar to mountain bike used on courses that include technical trails. Speeds achieved on indoor tracks are usually greater than those on roads. Other factors affecting speed are the route profile, flats and hills, wind conditions, temperatures, and elevation. At a 2013 event in Mexico, François Purvis achieved an average of 21.40 meters per second, 77.0 kilometers per hour, 47.9 miles per hour, with a flying start over 200 meters 660 feet. The top average speed over the men's 1 kilometer 0.6 miles time trial at the 2004 Summer Olympics was 16.4 meters per second, 59 kilometers per hour, 37 miles per hour, recorded by Chris Hoy. Average speeds clearly drop with increasing distance, so that over the 120 kilometers 70 miles Cudamundra Annual Classic it is 11.8 meters per second, 42 kilometers per hour, 26 miles per hour. In the 259 kilometers 200 miles 2010 Paris-Roubaix, Fabien Cancellara set a speed of 10.9 meters per second, 39 kilometers per hour, 24 miles per hour, while over the 818 kilometers 500 miles Furnace Creek 508, the speed drops dramatically to 8.3 meters per second, 30 kilometers per hour, 19 miles per hour. For an extreme road distance such as the 4,800 kilometers 3,000 miles race across America, the average speed of the record holder is 5.7 meters per second, 21 kilometers per hour, 13 miles per hour, while the 2,350 kilometers 1,000 miles Freedom Trail over mountainous terrain in South Africa is at a record speed of 1.9 meters per second, 6.8 kilometers per hour, 4.3 miles per hour. Mountain bike trials is a sport where riders navigate natural and human-made obstacles without putting down their foot, or dabbing. It is similar to motorcycle trials. Points are awarded for bike handling skills. The first UCI Trials World Championships took place in 1986. Freestyle BMX is an extreme sport of stunt riding BMX bikes. Artistic cycling is a discipline where athletes perform tricks, called exercises, in a format similar to ballet or gymnastics. Cycleball, also known as radball, from German, is a sport similar to association football played on bicycles. The two people on each team ride a fixed-gear bicycle with no brakes or freewheel. The ball is controlled by the bike and the head, except when defending the goal. Cycle polo is a team sport that combines elements of traditional horse polo with bicycling and is played on grass. Cycle polos was included in the 1908 London Olympics as a demonstration sport. The game has become particularly popular in India. Hardcourt bike polo is a more popular, fast-paced, and physically demanding variation of cycle polo played on hard surfaces such as asphalt or concrete. In teams of 3, players maneuver their bicycles while using mallets to strike a ball into the opposing team's goal. Originating in Seattle in the late 1990s, hardcourt bike polo has since gained a sharp spike in popularity worldwide, with organized leagues and tournaments held in urban centers across the globe. Gravel cycling, gravel biking, or gravel grinding is a sport or a leisure activity in which participants ride bicycles, mostly on gravel roads. The marketing man would have you believe that one must own a specially designed gravel bike to participate, when in fact any bicycle capable of covering the terrain can be used. Gravel cycling bridges the gap between road and mountain biking, combining the efficiency of road cycling with the capability to ride on rough and loose terrain of mountain biking. It allows riders more freedom to choose routes than road cycling, without many of the physical and equipment-related barriers of mountain biking. Gravel cycling is nearly as old as cycling itself, with most significant developments in the racing side having occurred in the 20th century. Gravel racing as a discipline has its own global series and world championship. Although the term gravel cycling has only been in popular use for about a decade, the cycling style that it describes has been a significant part of the cycling world for much longer. Contrary to popular belief, gravel cycling does not necessarily have to take place upon a gravel road. Rather, riding on any unpaved surface is considered gravel cycling. This includes gravel, dirt, rocky terrain, wood chips, and anything in between. Gravel routes frequently lead riders away from paved roads and other built environment, leaving them immersed in nature. Gravel racing is a major part of the gravel cycling world. Some gravel races blur the line between ride and race, allowing riders to experience the thrill of a timed challenge while still enjoying the perseverance and camaraderie required to successfully complete a track. Gravel races occur globally throughout the entire year, although American and European races receive the majority of media coverage in the cycling world. A small number of road races embrace long stretches of unpaved gravel roads, most notably, the prestigious Italian classic Strada Bianche. In the early days of road bike racing, most roads were not paved, so most races were held primarily on unpaved/dirt/gravel roads. One of the earliest examples is the Paris-Roubaix. The race started in 1896 and features over 150 miles of gravel and cobblestone roads. Due to road infrastructure improving with time, road bike racing shifted almost entirely to paved roads. In America, the use of paved roads was largely influenced by a group of cyclists called League of American Wheelmen, who advocated for improving road conditions. Racing bikes got narrow tires and were no longer fit for off-road usage. Next to road bike racing, separate off-road cycling disciplines emerged. In autumn and winter in a few European countries, cyclo-cross is a popular professional sport. Cyclo-crossers ride off-road, on grass, sand, mud, on a variant of a road bicycle, on a closed circuit during a relatively short time, 1 hour, and jump or carry their bikes over obstacles and steep climbs. In the 1970s, mountain biking emerged. It took inspiration from gravel cycling in many ways, such as allowing riders to tackle tough, off-road terrain and inspiring camaraderie between riders. Mountain biking ended up taking the off-road aspect of gravel to the extreme, eventually requiring a different yet similar set of skills and equipment. In the 21st century, riding and racing road bikes on gravel roads gained popularity. Gravel cycling, as a mixture of road cycling, cyclocross and mountain biking became a new discipline of cycling. Gravel cycling received significant attention during the COVID-19 pandemic. Lockdown procedures in many countries severely limited the number of activities many people could perform outside. Cycling as a whole requires little physical contact, which made it a popular option for people looking for something to do. Gravel cycling allowed riders to explore outside of any area they may have otherwise been unable to leave. The distinguishing features of gravel races, also called gravel grinders, include long distances, often 160 to 320 kilometers, 100 to 200 miles, primarily behind held on gravel roads, and mass starts including all categories of racers, similar to Gran Fondo rides. The bicycles and courses in gravel racing vary widely, from road bicycles with wide tires to bicycles that share characteristics with mountain bikes. When selecting a bicycle for a race, cyclists must have detailed knowledge of the course. The type of terrain, weather, length, and time of year all play significant roles in deciding what equipment riders use. When taking unbound gravel as an example, there are checkpoints spaced about 80 kilometers, 50 miles, apart for longer races, and riders must carry water and food, as well as fix their own tires and bikes. If riders receive outside support at any location other than official checkpoints, it will result in immediate disqualification. Riders may assist other riders by any means and at any time. The culture of gravel biking has been a reason it has grown in popularity. Gravel races rarely call for a team of coaches and bicycle technicians. Gravel riders are generally focused on getting through a course rather than maintaining a pace during races. This gives way to camaraderie on the trail and caters to a fun and relaxed atmosphere that is not always present in road and mountain bike races. The revival started in the Midwest of the USA, where gravel cycling evolved from cyclists riding long stretches of gravel and fire roads. Some precursors to gravel racing in its current form include road races like the Tour of the Battenkill and Boulder, Roubaix, named after Paris, Roubaix, which are road races with gravel sections. One of the premier gravel races, Unbound Gravel in Emporia, Kansas, formerly called Dirty Kansas, Started in 2006 and is 320 kilometers, 200 miles, long. Unbound gravel is a good example of how much gravel biking has grown in recent years. In 2006 there was a total of 34 riders that participated in the 320 kilometer, 200 miles, race. In June 2019, 2,750 riders lucky enough to be picked from a lottery crossed the start line of the Dirty Kanza 200 and organizers had to introduce other mileage categories. Barry-Roubaix is an up to 160 km, 100 miles, road/off-road cycling race in Barry County, Michigan. The event is known as the world's largest gravel road race. The annual Arkansas High Country race in June is an approximately 1,600 km, 1,000 miles, self-supported, bike-packing, gravel race through the Ouachita and Ozark National Forests, with approximately 84,000 feet, 26,000 m, of total elevation. The Gralic is the UK's premier gravel event and only UCI Gravel World Championships qualifier which is held annually on the tracks around Gatehouse of Fleet in southwest Scotland. The Dirty Reaver is a 200 km, 120 miles, off-road timed cycling challenge that takes place in Hexham, England. In Norway, Sweden, and Finland, the Nordic Gravel Series are a series of gravel challenges. Starting in 2010, the Pirate Cycling League in Lincoln, Nebraska started Gravel Worlds. Their grassroots movement gathered steam and as of 2022 is one of the largest gravel races in the world. In 2021, Gravel Worlds received their registered trademark, officially becoming the Gravel Worlds. Thousands of riders from around the world race Gravel Worlds every year in Lincoln, Nebraska in late August. Champions of this event receive a World Championship jersey, a Pirate Sword trophy, and the title of World Champion and Captain of the Gravel Seas. In 2021, the UCI announced they will sanction in 2022 both the Gravel World Series with about 18 races in 4 continents, and the UCI Gravel World Championships. This first edition of the championship will be held in Veneto in October and the Dutch champion, Mathieu van der Poel, is amongst the favorites with Peter Sagan, Nicolas Roche, and Alex House. Team USA has a team that races at Gravel Worlds. In 2023, the team was led by Lauren Stevens and Keegan Swenson, both national champions. Gravel cycling as a whole has no governing body such as the UCI or USADA. Each race has its own rules, ethos, and character. Despite the balkanization of the races, a professional field of racers does exist, with each racer creating their own schedule of event to participate in. An independent organization called Pure Gravel has created a ranking system called the Pure Gravel Power Rankings in order to score and rank professional gravel racers across the myriad gravel races throughout the year. A king and queen of gravel are crowned at the end of every calendar year. Riding on gravel roads has always been a part of bicycle touring, since its start in the 19th century. Due to a lack of paved roads in most regions, anyone partaking in an overnight bicycle ride had to prepare in a similar way to how modern gravel cyclists do. The bicycles they used shared characteristics with modern gravel bicycles. These bicycles were often sold as dedicated touring bicycles, and seen as variants of randonneur bicycles. Since the 2010s, gravel cycling and gravel bicycles have been widely associated with bike packing, a variant of bicycle touring. Bike packing is a form of traveling by bike with lightweight luggage, mostly without bicycle racks or panniers. Also, bike packing is usually off-road, making it more closely associated with gravel cycling. The bicycles that cyclists use in gravel races and gravel rides can vary widely, can also be mountain bikes, cyclo-cross bicycles or racing bicycles with wider tires, depending on the conditions. However, since the 2010s, a dedicated type of bicycle is marketed as gravel bike to cover the new cycling discipline. Dedicated gravel group sets are available from 3 major vendors, Shimano, SRAM, and Campanalo. Compared to road group sets, gravel group sets tend to have features from MTB group sets like a clutched rear derailleur, To keep chain tension on when riding on uneven surfaces to avoid chain jumping, lower gearing options, lower than 1:1, bigger sprockets and / or smaller chain rings, like for example a super compact 48/32T or 46/30T chain set and a 1134T cassette, and a wider side-to-side chain line for more tire clearance. Gravel bikes, at first glance, look very similar to road bikes with their drop bars and lack of front or rear suspension. Where gravel bikes differ from road bikes is that the bars are usually wider. Geometry is adapted to be more comfortable riding off-road for long periods of time, and modern gravel bikes will also feature a 1X drivetrain removing the front derailleur. Wheels are generally wider and forks and rear triangle and seat stays will allow for much wider tires to cope with the terrain and requirements of riding off-road. It is common for a gravel bike to have 35 to 50 mm tires, compared to 23 to 25 mm for a road bike. The relaxed geometry of mountain bikes is the foundation of gravel bike frames, but gravel bikes are lighter, faster and more responsive than a mountain bike. Gravel bikes also use characteristics of both cyclocross and road bikes for better comfort on long rides and the wheel clearance to accommodate rides done in torrential conditions, heavy rain. Still, gravel bikes vary, and the different models cover a range between road racing bicycles and mountain bikes. Gravel tires come in a variety of sizes and widths. The most common are 650B, 27.5 inches, and 700C, 29 inches. Tire width can vary from 30 to 50 mm. The lower end of that range is closer to road bike tires, making them better suited for light off-road situations. The wider side approaches mountain bike tires and is well adapted to use on trails with large pebbles, sticks, and worse traction. If a tire becomes too wide, it won't fit in some bike frames, making maximum tire width a significant factor for riders purchasing new bicycles. The rise of tubeless tires has not gone unnoticed in the gravel scene. Tubeless sealant's ability to effortlessly seal punctures, as well as run lower tire pressure, has made it more common than traditional inner tubes in modern gravel cycling. Many modern gravel bikes have an excess of mounting points for external frame storage. Bags are not required for shorter rides, but any gravel bicycle touring or bike packing ride will doubtlessly feature them. One option is top tube bags. This allows for easy access to a mobile phone, wallet, or food, although it is limited by low capacity. Frame bags solve this issue of capacity. They can be made in a variety of shapes and sizes to suit any rider's need. Some bags mount behind the seat and can carry sleeping and cooking equipment, but a complete dismount is necessary to access them. Some riders forego bags on their bicycles at all, instead opting for a fanny pack or backpack. Health effects. As a cardiovascular activity, cycling has been proven to provide a variety of positive health benefits. It increases cardiovascular activity for youths and elevates your heart rate to improve riders' circulatory systems. This makes it a viable option to burn calories, manage weight, and decrease body fat percentage. Cycling uses every major muscle group in some capacity, providing an effective full-body workout. This improves muscular strength in a variety of areas. Cycling improves decision-making, response time, and balance in older adults. Cycling is considerably more low-impact than many alternative exercise options. This increases joint health, as well as decreasing risk of injury. Commuting via bicycle can be considered gravel cycling, depending on the terrain. Commuter cycling decreases all-cause mortality and cancer mortality. It also decreases the prevalence of cardiovascular risk factors. Cycling reduces stress, improves mental health, and increases cognitive function. Cycling triggers the brain to release endorphins, which can improve the mood of riders. It can also reduce anxiety and depression. Gravel biking in particular can exaggerate these effects by placing the rider in natural environments. Regularly spending time in nature can further reduce street and improve mental health. Participating in group rides or races increases social interaction, which can lead to additional mental health improvements. Unpaved roads produce less pollution than the majority of paved roads. Gravel and dirt paths are less likely to be harmful to local and global ecosystems. Choosing a bicycle over a fossil fuel-emitting vehicle, such as a car, dramatically decreases a person's environmental impact. Fewer harmful chemicals are released into the air, noise pollution is cut down, and carbon emissions decrease. Thank you for watching this video.